This is Atlanta Sports Talk, Rankination, coming to you here on Monday, August the 6th, 2018, episode 4. Alright, everybody, I haven't been with y'all in a week now. Sorry, this latest edition is getting off to a late start. I've been doing a few things and trying to tweak and twerk my site and make the podcast easier for y'all to listen to. Alright, well, since I last saw y'all, we were talking the Braves into their week on a good note since we last weekend when we were getting slammed and banned, thank you man, all over our own field by the LA Dodgers. We bounced back to win 5 of the next 6 games. And we took 2 out of 3 from Miami. Well, Miami, the Wednesday game got washed out, so that little 3-game set we had here with them we took 2 of those, and then we took 3 or 4 from our arch rivals, the New York Mets, up in Citi Field in New York in Flushing. No, so I don't think it's in Flushing anymore. Maybe it's in Queens. I don't know where it is. It's in New York somewhere. Anyway, who cares about them? Anyway, the only thing we care about is that we made them pay again. They suck bad. They don't have anybody. The Braves did what they needed to do against a team, a lesser team, which is win. And I'm glad they pulled it out yesterday. They lost Saturday, but I'm glad they were able to rally yesterday after getting the lead and then giving it up and then getting the lead back again and then holding them off for the extra inning win. This week we head to Washington, where we have a 4-game set actually with the Nationals, which is it's supposed to be a 3-game set, but we have a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 1 o'clock against the Nationals, and I'm not sure of who's starting and all that stuff. I think it's Newcomb's pitching one, and I think Max Fried might be pitching the first one, and then Newcomb might be pitching the next one. I'll get back to you on that very shortly. But then we the rest of the week we have the Brewers coming. We're coming back home and meeting up with the Brewers. Maybe we can get some payback from them from when they handed it to us when we were up there. And so we need to take care of business with them because we're a better team than them. We need, if we're going to do anything in the playoffs, or especially make it, we need to handle these teams. And then we have another 3 with the Marlins. And then we have a long homestand coming up though. They have the Brewers, then we have the Marlins next week, and then we have the Rockies come in for 4 games, and then we're off on another field trip over up to Pittsburgh back to Miami, and then we come back again to end off the month with the Rays. I think we have a makeup game with the Cubs at SunTrust Park, and then we play the Pirates. I think that we're going to start into the series because I'm looking at the monthly calendar. So, and I'm sure we have the Pirates in for the rest of the weekend. But anyway, that's later on down the road when we can talk about something else. Well, since we were on a winning streak. I think it ended at 4 games, but we bounced back after that and won the next one. So it was 5 out of 6, and all our arms were looking good. I think the only loss we had was by our new acquisition, Gossman. Yeah, he pitched a good game. He didn't give up a lot of runs. It was a lot of runs. It was a quality start, and our just offense went anemic. And we were going up against Zach Wheeler. I'm sure his people back here were mighty proud of him. Congratulations to him on his win of beating the Braves, our local boy here. We got to give him a little kudos. He is from the Atlanta area, Paulding County, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Well, we had some good highlights from Julio Teheran yesterday when he faced the Mets. He got his first career home run yesterday, which I'm sure I've always thought Teheran was a decent hitter. He's always put the wood on the ball, and yesterday he was rewarded for that with a home run out to left field, and so the entire dugout was sweating his first career home run. Teheran played Atlanta's first run on a 3-run comeback. and then Nick Markakis went ahead with a go-ahead homer in the 10th to seal the deal. Great, that's awesome. I'm glad the Braves are able to overcome what I thought. I thought they overcame their little bump in the road. I was wrong on my last couple of casts where I've been kind of down on the Braves. I'm not really down on the Braves, guys. It's just one of those things of being an Atlanta sports fan. And you guys, everybody knows what I'm talking about this. Is that you have the time in the year when our teams are doing good, and this goes from everybody. Nobody is exempt from this. Not just the Braves. Everybody from all of college sports to from Atlanta, for the Braves, the Hawks, and the Falcons. Now I can't say it for United because they haven't been into the Atlanta scene long enough to be able to know what we're talking about. But it will come, trust me. Unless the I see the curse of the freaking the old curse of the old lady that put the hex on the freaking Atlanta or whatever, Atlanta sports. I mean, it's happened, and I'm not joking either. And everybody thinks I might be joking about this, but no, I truly believe this crap. Something is in the air around here, down in the South or whatever, down in little old Georgia here, that they don't want nobody in wherever the sports gods or whatever you want to call them may be. They don't want old Atlanta, any Atlanta sports to have their heyday. They say every dog has his day. Well, yeah, Atlanta, the Braves were so good back in the 90s, though. They had to, that dog had to have his day because it was just impossible not to let them have their day. But it was marked with a little asterisk by it because it wasn't a full season of baseball. They only played 140 something games or blah blah blah. So it was kind of changing. But I was like, well, fellas, let me put it to you this way: whether we played more games in the season or less games, the Braves would have excuse my language. They would have beat anybody that came in front of them that year. Even though Cleveland had a mighty freaking big bolstered roster there, and they had the pitching too. So my bad everybody for dropping an effort in there. I just get so this is what my talk show, my podcast is all about: the passion and the rawness of the feelings I have for my teams here in Atlanta. And you know what? You got to take the bad with the little bit of the little bit of the good that we have. You have to learn how to soak it up and drive on and just say, okay, we'll get them next year. That is our motto here in Atlanta. Now, back to what I was originally talking about before I went off in a rabbit hole was, okay, now that the Braves have gotten over their little spot of getting their butts blistered a little bit and smacked on the bottom. Okay, we're back to we're back to playing our division again. So we might be able to take over first place again, which we're only half game back. But and the Phillies are playing real good. I don't know how long that's going to last, but they have a decent, since they acquired the ace from one of the aces from the Cubs, Arrieta from the Cubs. Their young pitching staff has come together. So I don't know. I'm not really watching a lot of Phillies baseball unless they're playing the Braves to be able to tell you if give you an opinion on them, a correct opinion on them. But I do know this, and this is my opinion of the Braves. The Braves can go. They can win the division this year, and they can sit out and wait for the wild cards to play out, and then they can either host a series or go on the road series. It wouldn't matter with them because they're good on the road or they're good at home. I think a little bit better on the road. They're not under the pressure of being trying to impress everybody at home, and they're not under any pressure from the family. And they just have their one little, they're one track minded. They're there. They're out of town. They're on business. They're doing work, and they're by themselves. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. Some teams do better on the road. Some teams don't. Some teams thrive at home, which I hope the Braves would. I'd rather the Braves thrive at home in the playoffs and do what they need to do on the road. Of course, Well, that about wraps it up for the Braves segment there, news and notes. Everybody has the calendar. I just threw out the calendar for the week, and we will see you back next week with the Braves report. Go Braves country! Next up on the agenda for this week, Falcons news and notes. Dirty Birds. We're going to have a D-line preview, and we're going to talk about what happened this past week in training camp, which I don't really think a lot happened. Is if you don't hear anything, there's not a lot of news in training camp. That's good. That's a good thing. We don't want to have any kind of news about any player that did this or did that. We want to just the less you hear, the better. In my opinion, that's my opinion. But you're gonna have these little side notes where, this player, he came from a broken family and this and that, and he's coming back this year with a vengeance, and he's gonna be the best. He's gonna be the best player at his position this year, and maybe he could be MVP one day. But you don't hear one of those kind of stories, which are all heartfelt and warm. But we don't have those here on this podcast. And that's left for the ESPNers and all those big dogs that, where you can sit back on when there's nothing going on in sports. And trust me, these are the kind of days that pretty much nothing's really going on. I mean, it's starting to kick back in, starting to get going again, and things are starting to ramp back up. So football season's in the air. I can smell it. It's on its way. We got preseason football next week. Atlanta Falcons, and we got Georgia Tech, we have Georgia, and I'm going to give my little tirade about those two teams here in the next couple of minutes on my cast. And anyway, we get back to the Falcons. Getting back to the Falcons, this is we're rolling into camp this year. We had a couple of weeks of a good training camp so far. They were talking about how Thomas Dimitroff and Dan Quinn are a good pair together of picking players outside of the first and second round that are excellent players, and plus they're also talking about our first rounders that we picked over the last few years, which could potentially be Hall of Famers. You never know, but they're on their way to being that, which is Keanu Neal, Deion Jones, and maybe Grady Jarrett, and a few other guys. Also the role players we've gotten. And Ricardo Allen's not there, so I'll give Mike Smith. Ricardo Allen's one of Mike Smith's picks, and in our corner, Desmond Trufant. That's one of his picks. I'm not gonna beat down on Mike Smith one way or the other. He was an great Atlanta iconic Atlanta Falcons coach. I'll give him that. He took the Falcons from a tier 2 team to a tier 1 team, a good team that broke barriers in the Falcons organizations that have never happened before, like winning back-to-back winning seasons. First of all, we never had that before he came here. We never went to the playoffs back-to-back years until he was here, and now Dan Quinn's been on. We missed players his first year. It was a learning experience. The second year, we come out of the gate strong. We go to the Super Bowl and we lose the Super Bowl. And, our heads ain't low. But we came back the next year after that, and we didn't. Everybody's professional about it. And they went to the playoffs the next year. And we lost 15-10 to the mighty Eagles. Look, the mighty Eagles aren't pretty mighty around a bunch of Falcons, because the Falcons, they should have won that game. It could have been it should have been a rematch of the prior Super Bowl. But I know everybody, the football gods out there and the powers that be in the NFL, they have maybe Arthur Blank has bought us one for this year for a showdown at the Mercedes-Benz Dome, and we can. Is there not a better story than that of a hometown team winning the Super Bowl in their own stadium? I was like, that's pretty freaking awesome, and I think Atlanta might be due for that. Maybe we can throw we turn the curse back around on whoever that lady is out there, and that we pissed off so bad that she had to freaking scorn Atlanta sports. But yeah. Anyway, back to the Falcons. I know I'm going off on little tirades and stuff, but this is what this program is all about. I've been quiet enough and been trying to, in my past casts, I've been kind of laying low, but this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm passionate about. So you can listen, or you can listen little bits at a time, or you can pass by all this stuff and fast forward through. But this is what you're gonna get. Anyway, back to the Falcons. Today, the Falcons have just learned that the Falcons have agreed to terms with our own free safety Ricardo Allen, on a 3-year contract extension. Allen, 26, was drafted in the 5th round of the 2014 NFL Draft and has become a reliable safety for the Falcons after initially beginning his career as a cornerback. Allen started 45 games over his 4 seasons with the Falcons, registering 212 tackles, 10 pass defenses, and 6 interceptions. I think he's a heck of a free safety, way better than Thomas DeCoud and whoever else we had out there. It's like, golly, free safeties are, me personally, I think free safeties are hard to find around this league. Ones that are worth a dang. We have strong safeties are now. Those are the bad boys, though. They can pretty much go anywhere and do anything. They're like the bruiser of the defense. Now we have a bruiser of the defense. He's good at stopping the run, which you need for a free safety, and he's good free safety is a safety net for the safeties in the defensive backfield, and the strong safety is kind of like the rover around. He's kind of like the like a rover back, I guess. I don't know. He can be anywhere at any time, but he's like he's there to back up the linebackers or whatever for the run, and he's the enforcer pretty much. If you want to, I'm gonna put it that way, the enforcer. That's a really good word for what Keanu Neal is. And he's going to be, I have a feeling he's going to be bigger and brighter starter than Earl Thomas and what's his face, Cam Chancellor, which I heard the Seattle Seahawks were letting Earl Thomas go. They're not going to re-sign him, and he's outspokenly mad about that. Which hey buddy, S happens. Well, no, this isn't a child show. It's not rated X, but no one gives a shit. Earl Thomas, I'll put it that way. Sorry for all my listeners. I had to throw in the adult language every now and then. I dropped an F-bomb earlier. Whoops. Oh, sorry everybody, but I did apologize about that. Anyway, we're not all about that. We're about passionate about Atlanta sports. Getting back to the Falcons again, you see let's see what's going on else from the beak. They're seeing our running backs they're better than they ever been this year, and it remains to be seen. I don't think you can get any better than that. I guess you can. I've liked Tevin Coleman. I like the Tevin Coleman pickup ever since we got him, because I was impressed with him. The little bit I saw about him through his senior year at Indiana, he ran for the most yards in college football that year. He had over 2,000 yards rushing, which is always impresses me, no matter what, if it's college or the pros. It's really hard to do in the pros, but it's really hard to do in college football too. There's a fine list of players like that. We also drafted years ago a 2,000-yard rusher out of Texas Tech, and was he ended his career with a broken leg. I can't, God, for the life of me, if you can remember that running back's name, I'm having a brain fart right now. So email me with that information. That could be one of my topics. One of my not polls, but one of my things that you can email me about. Email me the name of that running back that came from. I think he was from Texas Tech. He was he was second. He was second in the he led college football that year in rushing. He had over 2,000 yards rushing too. And Dan Reese picked him, and he was good for us for a short, brief period of time until his career was ended. I think in preseason. But anyway, yeah, I've liked Tevin Coleman. He's always been good. I've always said, like, if he can get that past that initial wall of defense or whatever, he cuts back upfield, yeah, it's over with. I mean, he's got a first down or he's going to the house, and he's done it time and time again. He's proving, so that I think he's legitimized his role on this team, which, I'm impressed with him. And then we have the versatile Devontae Freeman, which bless his heart, man, he can get there. He scoots down through there, and he can get it. And but you know what? I've also seen him run into brick walls. Like he's a small guy, but a lot of the other guys out there are a lot bigger. And I've seen him hit those guys like brick walls and him bounce back or get freaking just plopped to the ground. He had a concussion last year. The same thing happened. Boom! He gets freaking. He runs so fast. It's like, I don't know. It's like you running full steam with your head down at a brick wall, and you have your head down, and you just go. This is what's happened to him before, and I've seen it several times, and I always wince when it happens. And I don't want anything to happen to him, bad happen to him. I don't want anything bad happen to any player in the NFL like that. Safety's our main concern, and we're all human beings, and we're all brothers and stuff in this world, and we don't want to see each other get hurt for the sake of entertainment for everybody. We're all passionate about what we do and what we watch and how we pass our times, and football is one of them. And football is a great way to spend our time in the fall and in the winter. And it brings people together, and all the camaraderie and everything. But when it's all said and done, these guys have to go home. They have to raise their kids, and they have to live their lives. And we don't want them the rest of their lives affected by what they do in their initial jobs here. We want them to live their life out to be able to remember what they did. Because there are a lot of pro football players out there retired. They don't remember. They can't remember anything, or they're good, or they commit suicide from this encephalopathy they require from too many head injuries. And Calvin Johnson was one of them. He retired after a brief career. I think he played 9 years, just like Barry Sanders. I'm sure Barry Sanders hadn't come out and said it, but I'm sure that has something to do with getting knocked in the head. Calvin Johnson said, he gets every play out there, maybe except for maybe the quarterback or whatever, but they get hit multiple times. They get their bell rung multiple times in a game, but it's not reported. And they it's not. They don't, maybe not concussed, but they get hit so hard to where maybe the hearing will go in and out like. There's like little quirks in Rocky movies where it's like, he's like, come at me there, what's going on, buddy? He's all dazed and he's like, get out of here, Rocky. Those football players, a lot of them see that's going on, or they get hit like that, and a lot of that goes on the field, and no one, it's never reported. But you can imagine, like they said, Tommy Notice, his last days here, he. When he was, I think when he went down to, I think it was something that they were doing at the Mercedes-Benz or whatever, about the old Falcons or whatever. They said he didn't even remember being there or anything. So I don't, bless his heart, and his foundation is right down the street from my home here, and passed by it. I've donated some things to him, but we want our elderly. Aging veterans of NFL to be able to remember in their later days what they did in life, and we don't want anybody to get hurt. Anyway, I'm going to preview our defensive line for this upcoming year. We've lost, of course, I was impressed with Adrian Claiborne last year, and I liked him ever since he came to be a Falcon. And I just think he's we didn't use him like he could have been we didn't use. I think we didn't utilize him as we should have or could have. That game he had against Dallas, he had 6 sacks. That's a Falcons record. And one game that was awesome. That was him all along. Every time he'd been put in the past, like I think Dan Quinn had been using him as a third and fourth or second, sometimes second down, but mainly as a third down, defensive end. To get a little more pressure on the pass rush on the quarterback, and he was always getting past the line of scrimmage and either disrupting the quarterback, running after him, or making him run or whatever. And more times than not. And then last year he was used more. He was used more and more, and there was more production out of him. So I'm sure this year he got a little got a little bigger paycheck with another team. And we lost him and Dontari Poe. And that was a big signing for us last year. Dontari Poe, he's like you only got him for free agency from Kansas City, and you signed him to a 1-year deal and let him go after that. It's like, come on. I was like, Grady Jarrett in the whole freaking line. You have to. There's 2 more spots out there for DLs, and then you had the ends. But speaking of the ends, Vic Beasley's Vic Beasley. He's the linebacker end or whatever you want to call it, however he does it. But he's utilized in different ways because he's very athletic. He's a very athletic defensive person, linebacker to defensive lineman. But pure defensive lineman that we picked up last year, I think, to solidify both bookends is Tad McKinley. Yeah, I love Tad McKinley. He's fast. He's exuberant. He's got a lot of charisma, and he can get that quarterback now. I seen him last year. I think he maybe had like 6 sacks or something, but that's good for 5 or 6 sacks. I don't have the stats in front of me, but if I'm correct, it's 5 to 6 sacks this year, and or maybe 4. But those sacks I remember most of them quite well, and he comes off. He's very deceiving getting off the line. He moves left to moves left to right, and he uses his speed to go through the line and around the lineman, and he can get that quarterback now. Well, along with the guys I just mentioned, we have the rest of the defensive line that they brought in to handle this. Terrell McLean, he's familiar. I think he's been here in the past, and Jack Crawford, and our new one of our draft choices, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Deandre Sanat. He was a draft pick from VARs for this past year. They're going to use these guys to balance out that defensive line. I'm always optimistic about anything with our teams. And but I don't know. I'm playing maybe pessimistic about this. These guys, I don't know. Besides Grady Jarrett, I don't know who else is going to be coming in and out, subbing in and out. But hopefully these, those guys get paid the big bucks to know what how to play their how to get their defense right. Dan Quinn, he's done it for a long time, and I trust him. I have no choice but to trust him. But anyway, that's my kick and spiel on the defensive line. Later on this week we're going to preview the linebacking crew, and which is I'm very excited about them guys. Those guys are freaking flying all over the place. And then if you know me, you get to know through my podcast that I'm big on speedy linebackers. I truly believe that if you have a speedy linebacking crew, then that defense is top tier. I've seen in the past the great teams of the 90s, the Dallas Cowboys, all their linebackers are fast. And we'll see how that goes along. And anyway, we're going to wrap up the Falcons news and notes for the week. Stay tuned, and we'll wrap up the rest of the segment, the rest of the cast here with news and notes on the United briefly, and the upcoming football schedules for Georgia Tech and Georgia football. All right, to touch on the Atlanta United, we'll bring you up to date on them as well right here. And we're capping up from the prior week to back up their 2-1 win over the Montreal Impact last Saturday. We go through the week. They had the All-Star little game, and we had our stars out there, just Martinez being our superstar. They come back to face another Canadian team with the Toronto FC on Saturday, and that came to a tie. Past two times we didn't lose, but against the Canadians we were 1 win and 1 tie, and that's good for some positive points on both ends of the spectrum there. Way to go, United. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Bring you up to date on the United. They keep on winning, keep on kicking. All right. Last one more topic of discussion, real briefly. I'm going to touch on the Terrell Owens and the Hall of Fame thing. I'm going to give you my little, what I gathered from all that stuff. Okay, we had the Hall of Fame, Canton Hall of Football Enshrinement Hall of Fame over the weekend, and with the likes of Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher, Brian Dawkins, and a few other guys I can't really think of right off the top of my head, but Terrell Owens was one of them. And granted, Terrell Owens, okay, he's got the numbers. He's a Hall of Famer, hands down. He had a great career. He most of his better days to me were his it was the tail end of when Jerry Rice left, and he went to Oakland, and T.O. was there. He was an up and coming star, and he became a dominant wide receiver, playing with Steve Young, and he was exciting to watch. He was great hands. No one was better than him, and he was somewhat silent during that time, but he was outlandishly silent. And then after, I think it all started turning into another direction when they were playing Dallas, and he went out to midfield on the Dallas Star and started being an idiot, pretty much being showing poor sportsmanship on the home team's field, which I thought was kind of just went a little bit over the top. I know they had a history and passion on stuff, and the heat of the moment, but learn to be a good sport. You're a poor. There's a difference between being a bad sport or a bad sport about losing, and you can be a bad sport about winning too. Yeah, it goes both ways, and he just showed his true self. So I really didn't care for him much after that. But and then in the Hall of Fame, his career goes by. Pretty much he's an idiot the rest of his career, which is I'm sure it shortened his career to an extent. No one wanted to give him time of day after he went to Philadelphia. I don't know where I lost track of. I lost track of him on purpose after that. Screw him. There's a bigger and brighter things to worry about. But he got the attention. Like they're saying on the Get Up on ESPN this morning. One of the guys was saying that T.O. if he would have gone to Canton and with everybody else, there wouldn't have been anything said or about him, and he wouldn't have got any press. But he got him some press. He got everybody talking about him. So he's like, so thank you, T.O. And we're spending a little time talking about you. Like with me also, I'm spending a little time talking about him because he made an ass of himself by having his own little induction ceremony at UTC. I think it was University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. It's only a little ceremony and saying that I'm only doing this to take a stand for future possible candidates for being a Hall of Famer for y'all for this not to happen. And all of a sudden he's like, dude, you're not standing up. That's not something to stand up. It's like you're not standing up against racial inequality or equality or something like breast cancer or this and that. You're standing up for future guys for writers to treat the future deservingly Hall of Famers to vote them in on time or something. It's like, that's totally asinine. But you got your press and you just made yourself look like more of an ass. And I say ass, I mean ass like that's in the Bible. Like, you look like a freaking donkey, like an ass. So ass, capital S, capital S, donkey. Okay, donkey. Like, get out of here, donkey. It's like, get out of here, donkey. So anyway, to wrap that up, it's gone out of the minds of everybody here. We're gonna wrap up this cast with, we got Georgia and Georgia Tech football coming up this year. We go to old Bobby Dodd Stadium in Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets football. You know what? Hey, we're in first place. And the only time we're gonna be in first place maybe this year is before the first game of the season, maybe after the first games, because we're playing Alcorn State on September 1st at 12:30. Alcorn State, we got them we're hosting Alcorn State. The next weekend following that is we go down to South Florida to play South Florida on the 8th of September at 12 o'clock. Weekend after that, 9:15, we're scheduled to play Pittsburgh up in Pittsburgh. And after that, to follow that, we got a big game, and we play the Clemson Tigers here at Bobby Dodd on the 22nd of September. That time's to be determined because I'm sure it's going to be on one of the major networks, and it's going to be maybe a prime game, probably, I'm sure. Anyway, after that, we go to another non-conference. I think it's our last non-conference of the year. We play Bowling Green at Tech. That's the 29th. The following week, we go to Louisville on the 5th of October. After that, 10-13, we go to Duke. Duke comes to Georgia Tech. We hosting Duke this year, and then we go up the coast there to Virginia Tech, where the two Techs will collide on the 25th at 7:30 p.m. Then after that, we head back down the coast and stop on over at Chapel Hill to play the North Carolina Tar Heels. That's on the 3rd of November. And after that, we go home to face Mark Rick's club of Miami Florida Hurricanes on the 10th of November. The season comes to an end on the 17th of November, and we host Virginia that day. And then to wrap up the season, we're going to Georgia, where they're going to host us in the annual Battle of the State's Finest. The rivalry, the Ramblin' Wreck, and the Georgia Bulldogs. Hopefully, Georgia Tech can sneak one away from them, but I don't think so, because Georgia's looking pretty dominant. I do care. Yeah, it's a rivalry. Anything can happen, but I don't think so. It's like Kirby Smart's got them boys freaking smash mouthing everybody, man. And the lowly engineers are not going to be able to do nothing to Georgia for a little while, for several years to come, I don't think. So they're going to pad their high win total against us. Sorry, Tech guys, I love y'all, but I'm just saying what everybody's thinking and knowing. I'm just putting it out there. We're going to go next to give you all the Georgia football schedule. Just remember, I know I'm going fast, I'm talking or whatever. It's easier to look online, but just give me a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds here, and we'll run through this and just we'll get this going. We got the Georgia Bulldogs starting on the 1st. Also, We're going to be playing Austin P again at Georgia, in Athens, Georgia, that day at 3:30. And then follow up, we have our annual visit against South Carolina, first SEC matchup of the year. That's at 3:30 also. It's going to be the main game on CBS that year, this year. Then after that, we had another out of conference game. Middle Tennessee's coming to Georgia, visiting Georgia in Athens at 7:15. Followed on that was on the 15th. Followed the next week. Following that is the 22nd when Missouri's hosting Georgia that day, and then Georgia comes back home the next weekend on the 29th to take on Tennessee. Followed, and then Georgia didn't even have to leave the state. Both teams from Tennessee are coming to visit us the following week on the 6th of October. We're hosting Vanderbilt. Oh, Vanderbilt! They're another freaking. They're another armpit football program. This in the SEC. This should never be in the SEC. I don't even think they should have a football program. Anyway, after our couple of weeks at home, we go on the road to visit LSU down in Death Valley. 10 on the 13th of October. Is it the Death Valley there too? In Clemson? So email me, everybody. I'll give you my email address here at the end of the show, and email me and let me know that. I'm curious. I should know that by heart, but I'm not quite sure. But I think they're called the same. I don't know why they're called the same thing to me. So please retort with that and let me prove me wrong. Tell me I'm wrong something. I want some emails, people. Anyway, after that, we get the yearly visit to Jacksonville. We're going to take on. We're the home team this year. We're going to take on the Florida Gators on. That's the 27th of October. And then the following week, we usually pencil this in as a win every year, and we go to Kentucky to play the Kentucky Wildcats in football, and then it's in football, no basketball. So we chalk it up as a win usually. I'm gonna go out and say it now. That's the 3rd of November. And after that, we have our yearly confrontation with the Auburn Tigers. Last year, it ended up not being a great football game for us because we only lost to the year until the championship game. That's on the 10th of November, and time's to be determined. So after that, they have another out of conference game, their last one of the year against UMass. I didn't think UMass had a college football program, but yeah, I'm sure that's going to be another one of those. But yeah, let's turn it on. Right? Nothing else to watch. And that's the 17th, and then followed up by the rivalry on the 11/24/18, the massacre. Let that massacre begin. That could be Georgia Tech's only loss that year, but maybe, I don't know. I'm predicting Tech to go to a bowl game, and they're going to bounce back from the last couple of miserable seasons they've had. I hope, because out of all the 4-star recruits, and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5-star recruits Georgia Tech has 2 4-star recruits in football. Two people. Yes, I'm right. Two. Dos. Two. Can you believe that crap? And then we got a handful of 3-stars, and then the rest of them, I don't know. They were tall on their high school team, so maybe they can make it at Georgia Tech. I don't know. They've dumbed down the curriculum there, where you sure can walk on to be a football player. You can walk on to be an engineer there too. I don't know if they've dumbed that down either. But all right, everybody, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you like this show. I ran a little long today. Apparently, I had a lot on my mind, and I got it off of my chest. And thanks for tuning in. I want to please implore y'all to go to my website and listen to my cast through my website. It's RankinationSportsFans.com, all lowercase. RankinationSportsFan.com, and my email address, and email me the things that I'm we talked about in the cast today, email me the answers to the questions I had, or in the opinions and concerns you had about anything. It's Rankin, RANKANSR 1971 at gmail.com. Just throw me a line, and hopefully I can read these on my next cast. So we'll make it more entertaining for all the listeners, and I'll give me a little more beef and taco feeling for my cast. So thanks again, everybody. I will see y'all next time. Rankination sports fans, Rankination out. Bye bye.